2,277. To most people, it's a number that holds no value, but to those who play old school RuneScape, it's a sign of one thing.
Someone who put way too much time and energy into a childhood fantasy point.
Hours of dedication and drive, and AFK here and there to finally achieve level 99 in every skill in the game. It's been about 4 months since I maxed, and I wanted to go over the methods to which I trained to max out every skill in the game. Now keep in mind this process took me over 5 years due to burnout, due to just taking my time away from the game as most people do. And so because of that, some of the methods I talk about in the video may not be as relevant as when I did them, or may not be even like feasible methods anymore, but I will be supplementing those topics with what I would have done in today's world. Also keep in mind that I did not do the most efficient thing for everything in the game. I would consider myself a kind of casual hardcore player, someone who enjoys doing efficient things sometimes, but also will do non-efficient methods in order to not completely burn out from the game. But I'm curious about one thing. In the comment section, I want to know what your guys' like favorite memory of like training a skill was. For me, it's actually not like an old nostalgic memory. It's actually of like training Slayer. I really enjoyed training Slayer when I was doing my last like 93 to 99 grind. I'm not going to tell you what it is now because I talk about it later, but that was probably my most fun training in this game. Okay, all parameters set up. Let's start at the top left of our skills tab and move down. Attack and strength. I trained these mainly with Slayer, and then towards the end of my maxing process, once Slayer was maxed, or I could see that I was going to max it without maxing my combats, I then went over to Nightmare Zone to finish these skills off just by AFKing with max melee and a rapier. Had I not had the rapier mainly, I would have just used full obsidian and would have been very close to the same rate I got. Another route for this would have been to do some fly fishing to boost the strength level to make combat training much simpler in the very beginning, but again, when I started, this wasn't a thing. Defense. Initially, I trained a lot of defense through melee combat, but this was before Bursting Slayer became meta with the introduction of the Catacombs of Corinne and the multi-way combat that was there between like Dust Devils and Necrails. And once this became more realistic, the remainder of my defense, which was like 2/3 of the skill to 99, was done through bursting and barraging in the Catacombs. Looking back, I would train defense basically the same way I did in the latter part of my training through Magic, because barraging Slayer tasks is so fast and like you net zero in terms of costs. It's just so efficient and just it's fun to see like big XP drops when you're barraging too, so there's that factor in it. Ranging. I never chinned ever. To be honest, I just can't be asked to chin, so a lot of my training was done via the blowpipe and bossing. Range was definitely my lowest combat once I realized I wasn't going to max combats through Slayer. This was around like 93 range or so. So I spent a good amount of time in Nightmare Zone with range, just using a Magic Shortbow imbued. Again, not the most efficient method. It would have been a lot better if I went to Monkey Madness 2 caves and just chin there, but that wasn't enjoyable to me and not AFK enough for what I needed at the time, so I just camped normal rumbles with the Magic Shortbow I in Nightmare Zone. Prayer. I trained prayer in small doses, always going for prayer potion breakpoints. And if you don't know what those are, prayer potions heal more prayer points based on like the level of prayer that you're at. So before I would go and train, I would look at what the prayer breakpoints were and then train to that. If you want that, I'll just type in prayer potion on wiki and it'll show up. I used Gilded Altars for a long while to get to like level 92, and once I grinded for 92, going to the Chaos Altar was just so GP efficient since it's essentially half the GP per XP, and I didn't mind occasionally running into PKers and dying. Like overall, you just take an inventory out there, you may lose like 10 bones. And some PKers, like they're only looking for noted bones and they won't even take your just unnoted bones. So they'll just kind of leave them on the floor. You can come out there with another inventory and bang out 2 inventories in one. It's pretty nice, actually. For Magic, I already went over this with Defense and I'll go over it with Slayer later as well. I just bursted and did a lot of barraging mainly for the later levels of Slayer, or for the later levels of Magic. It's so efficient. I go over this a lot. It's also really fun to just gather up a ton of dudes and just turn them into freaking popsicles, just necrocles. I don't know, that sounds really weird. Popsicles, they're neck rails. Cool, you get it, do it. Bursting in catacombs, it's fun. Runecrafting. I did some sweaty lavas when I was grinding out 77 runecrafting. No runners, but if you have the money, sure. Like runecrafting rates are nutty if you can afford like 3 or 4 runners. It's like 8 mil an hour. I just can't be asked. Once I hit around 77 though, it was straight to Bloods though. AFK'd Bloods until 90. Did souls until about 95, then went back to bloods when I figured out that it was much more AFK than souls. I wouldn't regret anything with what I did. And to finish out the first row, construction. I did oak larders until dungeon doors at level 74, then just did oak doors until 99. There's a couple different methods you can do with doors to hit some high rates. Like if you look back in my like row to max, I did sweaty doors, which is like super fast, like 525k XP an hour or something like that. If I had the money, I would have definitely done like mahogany tables or something to save time, but I just couldn't justify the GP spent at the time. I didn't have like funds to be able to buy all my 99s and buy mahogany, so I just went with oaks. For HP, please refer to the combat section. Agility. I did rooftops forever and never strayed away from them really. I did Sears rooftop with the Kandarin diaries until about 87 agility, and from that point on I went to Artie rooftops with Summer Pies with the Artie elites done, and I took it pretty chill. If I wanted to be more sweaty, I could have done like the Brimhaven agility with Karamja elites done, but I just couldn't be asked. Also, I could have done werewolf agility or skullball, but no. I like rooftops, okay? Scenery and playstyle, it's too nice to not pass up for me. Herblore. I would use herbs for my farm runs and use those to make potions for Herblore, and that's how I trained a lot of my Herblore. Mainly super restores is what I used a lot for training, but I would switch to ranging potions later on, and brews actually quite a bit later. Once I wanted to buckle down and grind it all out, I did super combats because they were like 2 GP or like less than 2 GP per XP when I was training, and since then this method has become not as good in terms of like GP XP. It's skyrocketed actually, and it's less XP than something like brews. So just don't do super combats and do something that gives you higher XP like brews or 1-tick anti-venoms if you're sweaty. For thieving, Artie Knights were OP back when I trained thieving. Nowadays you get a coin pouch whenever you thieve from them, and you can only hold 28 of these before you have to open them up so you can thieve again. When I did it, there were no coin pouches, and you could just like press 5 on your numpad like with mouse keys on. And if you had like OpenGL on OS Buddy, you would just never miss. So you just put the camera at a certain angle, press 5, and you just chilled and like watched anime or watched a show or whatever. It was super chill. Nowadays, though, you can still do Artie Knights. It's still feasible. It's just not as AFK. There's some methods where you like stick a coin in your F1 key or something, so it like spazzes out. So you like can constantly just keep clicking 5 and it will like open up your coin pouches or something. I haven't done too much research into it, but it's possible. If you're not looking into jacking up your keyboard, you can look at doing blackjacking, pyramid plunder, or Tazars in terms of like money or in terms of training methods. For crafting, I did my daily battle staves, and that was basically like all my crafting levels. I would complete the Varrock diaries and then just stockpile the battle staves in my bank every day until I didn't have funds to buy them anymore. Then I would go and make them into the best battle staff I could, sell those on the GE, and I would just rinse and repeat this process until I got up to basically 97 crafting, and it was at that point that I needed to train the skill. I didn't have any other skills to train, and so I just did D-hide bodies to finish out the skills, and I basically profited getting 99 crafting. Now granted, it took a very long time because it's gated by a daily, reset, but I mean, I profited getting crafting. I can't really complain. Fletching, I cut and strung bows and did a little bit of fletching of like broad darts for a while, but for the majority of the skill, I'm just gonna save it for firemaking because those two go hand in hand for me. Moving on to most people's favorite skill, not everyone's but most, Slayer. I did pretty casual Slayer until level 93. Mailing, whatever for the most part, doing Kraken, slow tasks, money tasks, etc. until 93. And then from 93 to 99, I decided I wanted to be more efficient Slayer, which I've done quite a few videos on, what I did and what my block lists were, but I'll TLDR or cliff notes or, spark notes it here. Basically, block the highest weighted, highest KC, low XP tasks. And you want to look at these, they're usually single way combat monsters. So you're thinking greater demons, gargoyles, what's a couple others? Abyssal demons, things like that. Yes, there's like arguments on abyssal demons for the most part. It's just not worth the effort. You extend your neck royals and your dust devils. You use slaughters and expeditious bracelets everywhere. You don't really use normal gloves, and then you can enter barrage everything. Efficient Slayer was one of the most fun skills I had. It was actually the most fun skill I trained basically. So give it a try if you're on the fence about it. It's really rewarding because Slayer is usually pretty slow, but when you train it efficiently, it's just fun, dude. It's super fun. For Hunter, finishing off the middle column, I hunted red chins in the private hunter area from the Western Province Hard Diaries. And I did a terrible attempt at 3-tick hunter until about 90. Once I hit 90, I continued doing birdhouses until about 91 hunter. If you don't like hunter, then definitely keep doing them since it's training without training. But I'm lazy and didn't want to, so I didn't at 91. Once I was at 91 though, and I wanted to go back and train, I went to the wildy and did 3-tick black chins in the wildy, which was actually super chill on 2200. I know most people think tick manipulation is like agonizing, whatever, but it was super chill. I only died once to someone who was like tri-bridding in max gear and got me on every prayer switch, and when I died I was just like, okay. I mean, super fun though, super profitable. Just bank when you have a decent stack of chins so you don't lose them, and you use the canoe to get really close to the spot. Mining. Everyone knows about the Rip Rocky meme. Yes, I did blast mine until from like 75 until close to like 90 mining, and then from around 90 to 99 I did motherlode mine because I'm lazy, and motherlode mine was like dope AFK, especially in the top layer. Just a word of advice here about the top layer: remember that they are time based and not ore based, meaning that they will deplete after 60 seconds of mining, thereabouts. Regardless of how many people are mining it. So try to find a spot of like 4 different veins fairly close to each other and go to town. Also, I did get my mining pet back though, so that's a pretty dandy thing. Thanks for 2 mining pets from level 99. For smithing, I did dart tips until around 90 because I was strapped for cash and didn't have a large amount of money to do gold bars. But at 90, I did do gold bars at Blast Furnace and did it via the 1-tick banking and 1-tick bars method, or at least I attempted to do 1-tick banking for the most part. I think my hand hurt a lot during this, so if you do this, I recommend doing like hand and finger stretches so you don't hurt yourself doing this, but it was still fun regardless. I learned a lot from it and learned a lot about timing. During fishing, I don't know how I did this, but I actually managed to fish monkfish till like 91 fishing, and on my main account. Good lord, what's wrong with me? 91 to 99 though, I did AFK barbarian fishing though, not a 3-tech method in sight. Got me a little bit of agi experience, which was nice because at the time I just really couldn't be asked to train agility, and it was a nice little break there from having to actually train agility. Cooking, I think I actually cooked like all those monkfish from 91 fishing to get like 90 cooking, I think. But at 90, I did 1-tick carambons until 97 cooking, and I did that in like a weekend. I think this was the most difficult skilling method I did in my maxing grind, but it felt super rewarding when you got the timing right. At 97, I started to burn out pretty hard, so I did wines from 97 to 99 to finish the skill off. But going from 90 to 97 in a weekend was like super impressive for myself, and I was very proud of my ability to pull it off. Okay, fire making, fire fletching, basically. Like 5% of this was Winter Todd and 95% was burning logs. I did the Todd to get some of the pyro pieces for the extra XP in fire making, but after that, I didn't really go back. It was just really boring for me and I didn't enjoy it. So for fire making from 91 to 99, alongside fletching, I did fire fletch, which is basically where you fletch in between burning logs, or you fletch darts in between burning logs. If you maintain it, you can fletch 2 sets of darts in between each log you burn, and you can then bank the logs in 1 tick, and if done correctly, you don't lose any ticks when doing this method. This method seems very sweaty, but the fact that fire making is 520k experience an hour, or thereabouts, with this method, it more than makes up for it, since you can have the skill done in like about a day at level 90, like a day of playtime, not like a day of actually. Let's if you play for 24 hours, okay, chill. For wood cutting, I did power cutting all of my training. I never did 3-tick or 2-tick teaks though, because when I wanted to woodcut, I wanted it to be one of my AFK skills. So I AFK teaks for a very long time in the Taibo Wanai area, and then after I hit 90, I went over to Redwoods at the Woodcutting Guild, and that place was wonderful. If you've never done Redwoods, you don't really know what you're missing. It's so AFK, it's wonderful. Looking back, I think I would have done like 2-tick teaks to get to 90, and then just chill the rest of the way there, because the XP difference between AFK teaks and 2-tick teaks is like massive. Finally, farming, the last skill. It was actually my first 99 though. Nice trim, by the way, anybody who remembers that. And to be honest, I just trained this while doing everything else. I always did herb runs to help fund other biobles, primarily Herblore. And the trees I did were maples and papayas, but maples were not nearly as expensive as they are now. So looking back, if funds were an issue and I was training the skill again, I would stick with like willows and still do the best fruit tree I could, since the payoff for those trees, the fruit trees, are well worth the cost invested. If you are more interested in this, you can check out my 1 to 99 farming guide. I did a very extensive like overview of trees and what to plant and whatnot. And with that, that is all the skills in Old School RuneScape and what I did to train all of them to level 99. I hope you guys found this video interesting or inspiring if you're looking for motivation to level up to your next milestone in the game. Links to all my socials are in the description of this video, including Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time of day it is, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.